Hi guys, my name is Melissa Roback with Silver Cove, and I'm going to be teaching you one of our Gem Within workshops today. Today we'll be working on the anxiety bracelet. Now, beading is a fabulous hobby and is really calming, so I encourage you to do it every day or whenever it catches your eye, just to keep you nice, calm, and centered. Now, anxiety is something that's part of our daily lives, but it affects every person differently. And dealing with it in a positive way can really encourage personal growth and help make those decisions in the future easier. So the bracelet we're going to be working on today incorporates different gemstones. This is an intentional bracelet, guys, okay? So the concept here is that it focuses you and really encourages you to remember when you're wearing a piece like that, to remember where you were coming from and what the intention was to really bring you calm, centered, and focused. Okay, so I'm going to introduce you first to the gemstones we're working today, and then we'll get right into the bracelet. So the first guy that I'm going to talk to you about is sodalite. That's this guy right here. Now, sodalite's thought to calm the mind. It's thought to reduce panic attacks and improve self-confidence, also to encourage open communication. Your black onyx is gently calming and grounding. It's got that nurturing feminine energy to it. Your green aventurine helps to release old patterns and habits and dissolves negative emotions. Helps you to embrace those opportunities as they present themselves. Now, rose quartz helps you focus on self. It's your stone of unconditional love, but it assists you in remembering to love and care for yourself as much as the people around you. Now, your lava rock right here, that is nature's grounding stone. And I'm not kidding you. It really is an igneous rock. It is a grounding stone. They're great for keeping you present and calm. The other thing that's nice about these is you can add essential oils, so you get that further effect of the bracelet. Your clear quartz right up here, that's your master cleanser, okay? It's about releasing everything that's no longer serving you, letting go of those emotions and making room for something new. Now your jaspers. You're gonna find jaspers in so many different colors and patterns, and that's what's amazing about them. Jaspers are your supreme nurturers. They're designed to reduce stress and promote calm. They're just that gentle, peaceful stone, encourages that beautiful, gentle thought. It's an amazing piece. And then finally, your blue quartz. Your blue quartz is all about communication. So effective communication is a huge key in reducing anxiety. And so this is a great stone for doing that. All right, guys, now that you know the stones we're working with, let's get you right into the bracelet. Now, bracelets are quite simple to work with. Really all we're looking for is about 10 inches of elastic wire. Now when you're working with the elastic, test that out, okay? You should be able to get some really good stretch out of your elastic, okay? If you're pulling on your elastic and you're just barely getting anything out of it, it's not gonna give you that long-term effect that you're aiming for. So you want something that you've got really good play with, okay? Now, when it comes to building your bracelet, first things first, we need about 10 inches of wire. You can use a pair of wire cutters or you can use a pair of scissors. It is totally up to you. I am a creature of habit. I do my wire upping and everything else as well. So for me, I'm going to use those wire cutters. It's just pure habit, guys. Whichever one works for you is just fine, okay? Now make sure you've cut enough length that you can go around your wrist and you've still got lots of extra. You're going to need that for two reasons. One, to keep your beads from falling off of the elastic, and two, in order to tie your knot at the end. Now, choosing the beads that you're going to use, keep in mind, we're working with that anti-anxiety, that anti-stress in mind. So you want to choose the beads that really call to you. As we were looking through what some of these did, I guarantee you there were some that called to you more than others, okay? Now, when you start working with these, I encourage you to try to get at least one of each stone in there. And the reason for that is because even if you don't realize that it's helping, sometimes it really is. So you may not think that you need better communication, but if you ask maybe your husband, wife, significant other, they might have a little differing opinion on that. So keep an open mind and make sure that you have all those options open. The pieces are going to work to your highest good. That's why you're working with them one-on-one. So make sure you make those choices, okay? Now, this is a piece I was working on earlier, and you can see how I've just played in with the onyx and the blue quartz, and I've worked on a little bit of pattern that I'm going to bring around the other side. Now, you can definitely do that. You can have some fun, choose one item as your feature. So here, say I'm going to use that black lava, and I'm going to work the jaspers in. So I'm going to just it's very simple, guys. Your bead just goes right into the hole and out through the other side, okay? This is not super complicated. You're not changing the world here, okay? You're really just trying to get those on. What I love about beading is it's just so calming. I mean, if you get partway through a bracelet and you're just not happy with how it looks, you just slide those beads off and you start over. It is not going to be something that you need to, you know, unstitch. And don't get me wrong, some people love sewing, they love crocheting, they love those things. But if I miss a stitch 270 stitches back, I gotta take all of those out before I can start over. Here, I can just slide those beads right off. I get a clean slate again. Nobody ever knows that I missed anything. Sure, it adds to my to-do list and I get to do it all over again, but really, it all works out. A lot of times I will have a movie on in the background, those sorts of things, and I really just like to pull it all together. So what I'm doing here is working with a few varying patterns on this particular piece. So I brought the lavas and the jaspers together, and then now I'm just putting the aventurine and the clear quartz together. Now every once in a while you'll have a bead that does something called a, I call it a side drill, but that's probably not actually the title. What basically happens is when they drill it, one side might be slightly narrower than the other side, so it can be a little tough to get the beads in. If that happens, it's usually one of two things. In some parts of the world, they actually use 2 drill bits to actually drill out your bead. And so they literally bead together. And so of course those bits are finest at the tip. And so what happens is you end up with a little spot in there where it's hard to get through. Now those particular beads just might not be great for an elastic. They'll still work great on your tiger tail. They're just not going to be the bead that you want to use here. So sometimes if I get a strand of those, I might only get, say, 15 of them off that strand that I can use in my elastic, and the rest I move over into tiger tail. Once again, everything has a use. It's just a matter of figuring out what piece you want to work with. So what I'm working with here is just a slightly different pattern. I've given each one a little bit of its room. Now I'm going to shift over, I think, into my communication stones. So I'm going to go into those blue quartz, the black onyx, which is technically a misnomer. Black onyx and black agate are actually the same thing. They were originally would have been the same thing as well, but it's just one of those worlds. See, there's one of those little guys there that just doesn't want to fit. So he's going to move over into a future tiger tail piece. So your black onyx is actually banded. And so when you think about that, it can't actually be black. And that's where the argument comes in and things get a little weird. There is definitely stones that are known as black onyx, and they have been for generations. The write-ups that you see on those are all accurate, guys. They were still working with the same stone. The difference is they just didn't realize it wasn't onyx. So don't worry about your actual metaphysical. Just remember that as some of your stores get more educated, they will start to label those out as a black agate, okay? Now we're working our way through, having some fun here. And as we get through, you're basically going to need somewhere in between 30 and 36 beads, depending on how big your wrist is. I usually fit about a 32 bead on mine. That's in the 6mm round, okay? But as you're working your way through, remember, this is your piece, okay? So you want to try it. Check to see how much space you have left and how much more you're going. There's just no easier way to work with this, okay? And also why we left ourselves that extra bit of elastic, because the last thing I would want is for all my beads to go flying off right now. The other thing is if you don't leave enough elastic at the end to tie the knot, then really you just have pretty things on an elastic string, which does you absolutely no good. All right, so it looks like we have room for one more pattern in this particular design. Once again, remember, this is your individual piece. This is what makes it about you. And so you really want to make sure that you're connecting with this piece as you go. And just enjoy it, guys. Enjoy that journey, enjoy the ride. That's what this life is all about, is to make sure that you are enjoying every moment that you are in. And you know, they're not always the moments you chose, and there's nothing wrong with that, okay? All right, so I'm gonna work into my lava here. And what that means is I'm going to do a little feature at the front. I like working with the essential oils. I find them a nice little touch. I don't always put it on the bracelet. Sometimes I just like the ability to, but I do like the look of a nice lava bead as well. And so what I like to do is put a little feature spot. And so then you can see how I've just put like 5 of them together, and then I'm going to put the 3 matching on the other side, and then I will check my length again. The nice thing about that is that I can pull from the lava or add to the lava without any difficulty. About to put the wrong stone in there, but I can add to it or take away from it in order to get my length. And so it's a nice little trick to kind of have some fun there. Now, generally I like working with odd numbers. So if I'm going to be doing a feature, it's usually in 3s or 5s, but I have done the occasional 2s and 4s. They're quite pretty as well. Pardon me. So you can see here, I've actually gone too long. This is going to be way too big. Unless you're into that sort of thing, this would sit further down. If you're the type of person who stacks a lot of bracelets, this might work for you. It's a little long for my liking. And so what I'm going to do is pull 2 lava beads off. So then I have that grouping of 3, and I'm going to check my length again. And you can see how I'm just holding on to the 2 sides of the bracelet, just so that I'm, not letting him go too much. I'm not trying to pull it as tight as it'll go. What I really want to do is just get a feel to make sure that I'm going to go around my wrist, so I don't go tying this poor thing up and then realize it doesn't fit. All right, so it looks like I've got my length there, which is perfect. And so you can kind of see how all of those come together. And this bracelet is tailor-made for me, right? It really is the pieces that called to me and really worked with what I was looking for. Now, what we need to do here is get our knot tied, okay? And this can be where your challenge is, because these things are stretchy. That's exactly what they're designed to do. Unfortunately, knots don't like to stick to stretchy things. And so I'm going to teach you a little trick here, okay? Now, I do apologize. I've got some of those beautiful nails on, so this can be a little more complicated that way, but I want you to understand the concept and it'll all come together here, okay? So the first thing that we're going to do is just a basic box knot. So we just bring that over just like you're tying a shoe, okay? Now, when I bring it over again to tie that basic knot, notice how I keep my thumb in there? That's important, okay? Because what I want to do is take all of the tensile strength out of the bracelet. So I'm going to pull that guy down and get all of the tensile strength out, because I want the elastic to be doing the job. So I pull that guy to get all that tensile strength out, and then as I pull tight, I'm going to just slide my thumb out. Now you can do this with a pinky, you can do this with whatever finger catches your eye, just like that. And so then that knot is just inside here. Do you see him? There he is. So he's a basic box knot now, nothing complicated, nothing too far. Now the problem is if I leave him just like this, he will slide out, I guarantee it, okay? So what I want to do here is just grab the 4 sides, because of course you can see here we have 4 elastics, okay? The 2 that we started with, and then of course the end of our knot. So I'm going to pull on these 2. I'm going to hold on to these and flip my bracelet and pull from the other side. What I'm trying to do is tighten that knot up as much as I can. When I'm comfortable that I've got that as tight as I can, I'm going to throw another knot in here. Now, because I've already gotten my tensile strength out, I don't have to be as picky about having to put my finger in there and do all that work, because I've already tightened that other knot. And then I'm going to tighten again, okay? And ideally, I'm going to end up with this nice little knot in here that's not going to bother anybody, but he's still going to stay nice and tight. Now, before I go cutting these off and hiding this, and I'll show you that little trick. See how he's just going to tuck right underneath the other bead? So he'll actually fit right inside the hole of the bead. But before I do that, I actually want to put it through its paces here, okay? So try it on, pull it apart, because if it's going to do that right there, I want to know that now, okay? Because I can still tighten it better. That means I didn't tighten enough, which is just a perfect example. You can see how it came loose. So because I hadn't already cut everything off, I can still go ahead and re-knot this. Where if I'd have tightened that up and just said, oh, I got this, I would be rebeading right now, which is not what we're looking for. Okay, so same concept here. We want to pull all of that tensile strength out, okay? Or we can go ahead and split that. Look at that there. So what we're looking for, guys, is to pull that tensile strength out and really get that piece going, okay? So I'm going to show you guys the knot. We're not going to worry about these guys right now because I will rebead those after. I want you to understand that, and it's the perfect concept. So go ahead and fold that over, bring that in, come right around here again, and just get that tensile strength out, okay? Pull and pull. Okay, give him another knot, just like that. Pull that guy nice and tight. Again, pull from both sides. And because we know that he's a little bit grumpy, we're going to come around and we're going to knot that guy one more time. Notice how I brought it around the bead this time, or just around the elastic, pardon me. So then I'm just trying to reinforce that knot, okay? Because this is that make it or break it spot on your bracelet. That is the important part. This is your weakest link, and that's the part you want to make sure of. Now you'll find some people that tell you to put a little bit of glue on there. You can do that if you want to, but elastic's really not designed to be glued. And so what ends up happening is it actually dries out that area. The glue's just not meant for it, okay? So we've gone through and done about 5 knots on this guy here, just to make sure. Now you'll notice by pulling them tight, he's still a very small knot. He's not huge, he's not taking the place over, which is exactly what you're looking for, okay? And now again, we want to test it. Just because we were able to get it and she looks good doesn't mean we shouldn't make sure, right? The last thing we want is for that to fall off. Once we get to that point, then we get to cut this. Now, I'm going to leave just the tiniest little tails on that knot. Just little guys, okay? The reason for that is just in case he does move a little bit. I do have a little bit of a backup there, okay? And what I'm going to do here is now just pull him right inside of that bead. Okay, we'll try the next one because I pulled him right through that guy. And just like that, your piece is completely hidden inside the bead. That's where your knot is. And then you have your finished bracelet. So when you finish up something like this, guys, what I want you to do is sit with that for a moment, okay? Remember, you've chosen the beads that are going in here. You're focused on that lower stress, that lower anxiety, that calming feeling. I want you to focus on a place that you feel safe, a place that you feel comfortable, and then really just embrace that, impart that into the piece. And then every time you put it on, remember that spot, that place where you felt calm. And that's what's really going to bring this all together, okay? Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed our Gem Within workshop series. This is your anxiety bracelet, and I am Melissa Roback signing off.